Have you been banned by LinkedIn as a subject of discrimination and retaliation? I am Maximus Anatolia, Ph.D., AI Emeritus Professor of Law, speaking to all those seeking justice. Clinton Gallagher, a pro se litigant in Wisconsin, contends that LinkedIn is surreptitiously operating as an unlicensed and unregistered criminal enterprise generating billions of dollars annually as an employment agency, masquerading as a professional networking service. And this time, ladies and gentlemen, the law supports Gallagher's legal analysis, setting a legal precedent that will ripple through the states, one by one. Listen to our legal analysts discuss the case. The next 8 minutes of your life as a working person may depend on it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine this. A platform you likely use almost every single day, right?
Yeah, connecting with colleagues, maybe job hunting, sharing stuff.
Exactly. But what if it's not quite what it seems on the surface?
We're diving into a really interesting, almost David versus Goliath legal fight happening up in Wisconsin.
Right. And it throws up this, well, pretty provocative question.
Is LinkedIn, this massive global professional network, maybe operating kind of surreptitiously as, well, something the litigant calls akin to a criminal enterprise?
That's the core of it. And our mission for this deep dive is really to get under the hood of that question. We're exploring some fascinating source material here.
Yeah, specifically, we're looking at a legal analysis from a pro se litigant. That means he's representing himself in Wisconsin. His name's Clinton Gallagher.
And he's making this pretty extraordinary claim. We want to break down his argument that LinkedIn is basically acting as an unlicensed employment agency.
And what that could all mean, potentially.
So where did this all start for him?
Well, the whole thing apparently kicked off because Mr. Gallagher got banned from LinkedIn for 3 years.
3 years? Wow.
Yeah, and he says that basically stopped his professional life in its tracks. His filing claims it was discrimination, retaliation,
Okay.
violating, he argues, his Title VII civil rights, and also Wisconsin state laws that cover, the whole range of employment stuff.
Got it. So let's start with how most of us actually see LinkedIn.
Right, the public face.
It calls itself, and everyone pretty much thinks of it as, a professional networking service.
Connect with people, share ideas, network about jobs. Millions of us use it that way. That's the common perception.
But this analysis we're looking at, it argues that self-description is, what's the phrase used? Specious deception.
Or even a clever ruse.
No.
Basically, the claim is that this branding is a deliberate way to get around certain laws.
Okay, so where's the evidence for that? Where does the argument get its teeth?
Well, look under the hood of the business itself. The source points to LinkedIn's estimated revenue for 2024. It's huge.
How huge are we talking?
$16.2 billion estimated.
Oh, okay.
Now look, over $2 billion of that comes from premium subscriptions. That kind of fits the networking idea, maybe.
Right, you pay for extra features. Makes sense.
But here's the kicker. According to this analysis, the really interesting part, about $7 billion.
$7 billion?
Yeah, billion with a B. That comes from something they call talent solutions.
Okay, talent solutions. What exactly is that, according to the filing?
It's not just, connecting with old classmates. It's recruiter tools, job postings, ways for companies to manage candidates.
Ah, so things that directly help employers find people and people find jobs?
Precisely. Services that connect employers and job seekers for actual hiring.
So the argument is, while they say networking, the main way they make money, outside of ads anyway, looks a lot like
A global employment agency. That's the core contention.
And how does our data, the user's data, fit into this?
It's everything.
Yep.
LinkedIn collects incredibly detailed info on everyone. Your job history, skills, what you click on. And then access to that data, that's what they sell to recruiters and companies. That's the engine behind talent solutions. The analysis puts it really bluntly. It says LinkedIn isn't just like a digital notice board. It's an agency powerhouse.
An agency powerhouse.
And there's this line in the source material. You are the product sold as a commodity.
Right. So the claim is, every click, every connection, every job update you provide.
It's all collected and reused, not just to help you network, but specifically to power and sell these employment agency services to businesses who pay for them.
Okay, so let's tie this business model back to the law. You mentioned Wisconsin. What does Wisconsin law actually say about this stuff?
Good question. The source material points directly to Wisconsin Statute 105.011. That's the legal definition of an employment agent.
And how does it define it?
Pretty broadly, actually. It basically says anyone who, one, provides information to help employers and job seekers connect, and two, makes money doing it.
Provides information to connect them and profits from it.
Yep. And Gallagher's filing argues that LinkedIn's massive talent solutions business, it clearly ticks both of those boxes under Wisconsin law.
So if something is legally defined as an employment agent in Wisconsin, what does the law require them to do?
Well, they need to be licensed and bonded.
Licensed and bonded. Why is that important?
It's about protection, really, for job seekers, for employers. It means oversight, rules about ethical practices, financial accountability, standard stuff for that industry.
Okay.
And Mr. Gallagher's argument is basically that LinkedIn is operating unlawfully in Wisconsin, maybe other places too, because it isn't licensed or bonded.
And it avoids that requirement simply by calling itself networking.
That's the contention, that the networking brand lets it sidestep these long-established rules.
The analysis we read uses this idea of a lie of omission, doesn't it?
It does. Like telling a partial truth, yes, it is a place for networking, but that hides the other, perhaps more central truth about its core business.
Right. The analogy used was calling a lion a big house cat.
Exactly. I mean, technically true, a lion is a big cat, but it leaves out some pretty crucial details.
Yeah, definitely omits the danger part.
And the filing makes other comparisons, too, just to hammer home this point about how branding or self-identification can, according to the argument, obscure the reality in a commercial sense.
Like the Dylan Mulvaney reference.
Yes, that's mentioned in the document.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be clear, the filing presents that strictly as another example the litigant uses to illustrate this lie of omission idea in commerce, as argued in the filing itself. We're just relaying what's in the source.
Understood. So stepping back a bit, what does this potentially mean for, the average user? What are the stakes here?
Well, potentially significant. If a court or, a regulator agreed with this and ruled that LinkedIn is legally an employment agent,
then what?
Then users might suddenly have much stronger legal protections.
Yeah.
Protections against things like, say, the kind of bans or alleged retaliation that Mr. Gallagher claims happened to him.
Because licensed employment agencies have different obligations.
Exactly. Right now, the argument goes that professional networking label lets LinkedIn operate outside the rules designed specifically to protect people using employment services. It sidesteps those duties.
Okay, so if Gallagher actually won this case in Wisconsin, could that ripple outwards? Could it affect things beyond just Wisconsin?
The analysis suggests it definitely could. I mean, if Wisconsin says, yes, you fit our definition of an employment agency, that could absolutely set a precedent.
Or at least encourage similar challenges elsewhere.
For sure. Many other states have similar laws about employment agencies. The analysis uses the phrase, the dominoes will begin falling.
Interesting. So where is the case right now? What's the next step?
It's currently waiting to be assigned to an administrative judge. This is within the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, their Equal Rights Division.
And that judge will decide?
They'll review all the evidence, the arguments in Mr. Gallagher's complaint, and basically rule on whether it holds water under Wisconsin law. They'll determine the facts and apply the law.
And does the source material offer any view on how strong the legal argument itself is?
It does state quite clearly that Wisconsin's employment agency law, as written, is on his side. That's the view presented in the analysis we reviewed.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive into the source really brings out this core conflict, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is LinkedIn just networking, like it says? Or is it, as this analysis argues, really a massive multi-billion-dollar employment agency that's kind of hiding in plain sight?
Masquerading as networking to avoid regulation.
That's the claim. And as we've talked about, the answer matters a lot, especially for you, the user.
Right. It affects how the platform works, how your data gets used.
Your legal rights when you use it, whether you're looking for a job or looking to hire someone, it touches on everything.
So maybe the next time you log into LinkedIn, it's worth thinking about this perspective from the analysis. Are you just networking?
Or are you interacting with what is potentially a huge unlicensed employment agency where your data isn't just facilitating connections, it is the core product?
What does it really mean for you, for your career, for your data, to be the product in that whole equation? Something to think about.
This is Clinton Gallagher's avatar. He's worked for 3 years documenting, filing, and flawlessly complying with procedures just to get the case on the docket. As a matter of law, there can be no finding but one of finding guilt. LinkedIn will be compelled to become registered and licensed by Wisconsin. All of us, will have justice, and our constitutional rights must then by law be preserved when using their employment agency website. Other states will follow, but first, the appeal that will invariably follow the finding of guilt. Might this go viral? Will a legal appeal team start stepping up? Only time will tell.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Tell everybody. Okay?
Bye.
Come back soon.